Here's the function we created in the last tutorial. Now I got a question for you. What is the difference between calling this function and the print function of Python? The difference is that the print function takes some information, in this case, the message that we want to print, but our greet function doesn't take any information. Wouldn't that be nicer if you could pass the name of the user here, and then instead of saying, hi there, we could print the name of the user. So in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to pass information to your functions. And that is pretty easy. So back to the definition of our greet user function. Inside of this parenthesis, we can add parameters. These parameters are placeholders for receiving information. For example, we can add a name parameter, and with this, we can pass the name of the user when calling this function. So let's pass John here. Now, when we call this function and pass this value, this name parameter will be set to John. So it will act like a local variable that we define inside of this function. Just imagine we didn't have this parameter, and instead we had a variable like name that was set to John. Now here, we could simply print the name of this user. So we could use a formatted string and print the value of the name variable, right? Now, we don't really have this local variable defined in this function. We have a parameter. It's exactly the same thing. So with these parameters, we can receive information in our functions. Now let's go ahead and run this program. So take a look. We get, hi John, welcome aboard. We can take this to the next level. Now we can call this function one more time. So greet user, and this time supply a different name. Let's say Mary. So we are reusing our greet function and passing it a different value. Imagine if we didn't have this function, we would have to repeat this line twice. Once for hi John and another time for hi Mary. So this is the benefit of defining functions. We can take a few lines of code that have a specific purpose and put them inside of a function. So now let's run our program one more time. There you go. So we get hi John, welcome aboard. Then we get hi Mary, welcome aboard. Now note that when a function has a parameter, we are obligated to pass a value for that parameter. So if we remove John from here and run our program, we get this type error, greet user missing one required positional argument. Argument in programming is the value that we supply to a function. So back to this example, Mary in this case is an argument that we pass to the name parameter. A lot of programmers don't know the difference between parameters and arguments and think they are the same, but they are not. Parameters are the holes or placeholders that we define in our function for receiving information. Arguments are the actual pieces of information that we supply to these functions. Okay, so let's bring back this John string. Okay, now we can also define multiple parameters. For example, let's rename this parameter to first name. As I told you before, you can right click here, go to refactor, and then rename, or preferably you can use a shortcut. So the shortcut for this on Mac is Shift and F6. And this brings up the rename dialog box. Here we can change this to first underline name. Now we can add a second parameter, so comma, followed by last underline name. So back to our formatted string, let's also print the last name. Beautiful. So here when calling these functions, then we can supply another argument. So John Smith, and let's delete this line. We don't really need it anymore. Run our program. Take a look. Hi, John Smith.